Um, for those of you who have watched my videos in the past, I know that there's one guy that does this. There's another couple of people that have, in the past when I was in Korea, they watched my videos before. So, if you're by default, you're watching this right now, then tagging you guys was pretty unnecessary, but I did it anyways because for all the people that are tagged, I think the real reason why I did that was because I wanted you guys to, get some visuals of what I'm on about and that kind of stage that's going on inside my life. So maybe this helps to actually get the point across. Because if you see somebody and they're talking to you, then chances are you're gonna pay attention to them because you can post up as many status updates as you possibly want, but I'm gonna do things a little bit more personal. And if you don't appreciate any of this, you feel really uncomfortable with this, then by all means, go ahead and exit out of the browser, stop this video at any given moment. But I wanted you guys to see exactly the very things that I'm seeing right now that are going on inside the so-called tech startup BS. And I stretch that tech startup thing really well because I don't know. I've been doing a lot of research inside these companies, and I'm not just gonna go ahead and quote some article. I'm not gonna post up any links down below. I'll give you one video. I'll give you one video. You can go ahead and click on the link down below if you want to, but really, I think the better point that I'm trying to get at is just my experience with them. And I want you guys to really understand what I'm on about because after trying so hard to make this whole plan work, I realized that the tech startup scene is, some of you guys won't know what this word is, but it's called a facade. The word that I'm going to use is a facade. And a facade, what that word means is it's fake. Like it's a fake theatrical play if you want to look at it that way. I have experience with a few different versions of startups. There's startups, and what that really is, the first go around was that it's a startup, and it's quoted like this because it's actually a smaller corporation pretending to be Google. If you look at what Google is, I gotta take this off, I wanna hear myself talk. If you look at what Google is basically the basis of what a lot of these startups want to be. They want to take the idea of incorporating a casual environment, and it's intellectually stimulating. You don't feel like you're discriminated against because you don't have to wear a suit and look like a different kind of persona. And that in and of itself is kind of a stretch deal with some of the things that I've seen. Because if you are, arguably, you're just another corporation, a smaller corporation at that, but you're a corporation, what you're trying to do is you're trying to give off this false sense of security in a way. You want the people to feel like they're actually in a casual environment. You want them to feel like they're actually taking part in something bigger than it really is. And this startup that I'm thinking of in particular, like it had all the rings and the noses, the whatever kind of metaphor you want to use for facts and characteristics of a corporation that's really going under, it had it. And the one thing I'm thinking of is the politics of it. No matter where you go, it's just unavoidable. Like you have these ideas can work. These ideas, they have relevance. But because you're not part of the management, or you're not part of the sales team leader, you're not the VP of sales, you're not the director of sales, you're not the managers of sales, you're not the manager of programming, you're not the manager of implementation. I don't care where you are in the hierarchy. What you will do is that you will keep your power because you know that power gives you a lot of money. Now, do these startups actually have a lot of money? They don't. They don't. They don't. That's the sad part. The real thing that you have to notice is that if you look at the salaries of some of these people that work in these startups, I've noticed that throughout the entire departments of some of these startups, and even the bigger companies like Facebook, they have a starting salary of 30K. If you are lucky, you get 35,000 bucks. I mean, look at the cost of where I'm living at right now. Where I'm at is I'm in an apartment at East Riverside of Austin. And arguably, you can say that Old Fourth is a lot more sketchier. You can say that, God, I don't even know. There's another place like east of I-35. I've been there before too. It's not East 6th Street. It was East 12th Street. And while I like the place, I do like it. You know, if the sun goes down and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't want to be there. Old Torf is like that too. If I'm making 30 grand, I don't have a lot of leeway to do whatever I need to do in life. I don't have money to save. I have student loans just like everybody else, and I'm still trying to pay them off. I graduated about 2.5 years ago, and I'm still trying to pay it off. That's fucking depressing. They all make about 30K. And it's basically a corporation trying to give off an excuse like saying, well, we're not giving you a lot of money because X, Y, and Z, but really it's just a ploy in a way to make sure that the investors' money that invested into that company is not going to go to waste. It's going to keep the company operating. So what they're basically doing is they're taking investors' money, and without making a lot of profit for their products that they're creating inside that given corporation, they want to try to expand the life of the company. What a lot of these startups really do is they want to go for market share, because you can't get a lot of revenue attainment because nobody inside the United States really has that much money. I've noticed that about this country in particular. I'm not saying that this is unique to the globe because it's still going to be there. Poverty will always be there. I've just noticed that in America, you always see people in debt. You always see that. You never see anybody is truly middle class, because I truly believe that there is no such thing as middle class anymore. I truly think that has gone away. So you're in this company and you're trying to sell somebody something. They're in debt. They have credit card debt, they have a mortgage to pay off, they have this loan to pay off, they have a credit card loan to pay off, they got something. And now here you are, you're saying, well, I got this $10,000 app and it's gonna be the best app ever. It's not a fucking good app. Most of these products are fucking junk. Imagine being in the sales department and you're told that you're supposed to sell something, hypothetically, on the basis that it's going to work, and it doesn't fucking work. It doesn't fucking work. That really makes you feel shitty. And all the while, your higher-ups are just pushing you to get that market share. They're pushing you to get that market share because what a startup ultimately has to do, because they're not making that much revenue from the get-go, is the only real way for them to actually make a lot of money, a lot of profit for the investor, banker that invested money inside that company, is to simply get acquired. That's the politically correct term. It's actually just another way of saying the company has to get sold. It has to get sold. Otherwise, what else are you going to do? The investor, the venture capitalist investor, people that are known to be very hard to work with, and they want that short-term benefit right then and there. I've noticed that a lot of venture capitalists, what they do is they go from startup to startup. They look at this startup and they give them $10 million of Series A investment grade funding. And then they go to the next startup and they give them Series A 20 million, they give them 50 million. I don't care what the million is. But the company is supposed to get started up. No pun intended. It's just that's the term. That's where it originated from. This company has to get started up, and they got to make money very quickly to please the investors and the shareholders. So what they got to do is they got to get acquired by a bigger company. And now there are so many different startups nowadays that it's just everybody's doing the same thing, essentially. Look at one occurrence. Look at this call. Look at the startup in particular that I'm thinking about. No names involved. I'm not going to name off any names involved with this startup, but I'll say the startup's name. It was called Scoop Events. Scoop Events, what they were supposed to do is they were supposed to create this so-called event social network. Basically, it's another app. It's another event app. And you guys have never worked. I know for a fact most of you guys have never been to these big ass events like ACL or Coachella. And if you have, you did not download the app. And that's okay and everything. But my app from Scoop Events was supposed to be the event app of event apps, basically. And we were supposed to be selling a social network to these event apps. And it's just, it doesn't go anywhere because one, there's already a social network and it's called Facebook. You are already using it. You are using this to watch the video. It was destined to fail. And the reason why I even bring that up is because startups nowadays don't have any new ideas. There's not a single new idea out there. It's like a rehash of something. One company couldn't cash out on that, so let's go ahead and slightly tweak and remix the whole idea that started in the first place and say that it's revolutionary, it's disrupting the market. That's the one word I keep on hearing all the time. It's disrupting the market. We're disrupting the ad space. We're disrupting the app space, the web space. Who gives a shit what space it is? They always say it's disrupting something because they want to make it sound like it's revolutionary, but it's not. So imagine that you're in the sales department and you're sweating bullets, you're getting ulcers in your stomach. And I'm saying this very, very honestly because I do have ulcers in my stomach. Some people will say that's from coffee or alcohol, maybe it's from this, but they didn't start coming up until I was actually doing these startups, working from 7 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the evening, busting my balls, trying to get this whole thing going, trying to get it to work. And then you're calling up these C-level executives of these companies, these mid-level managers, these directors of associations in Washington, D.C. And then they say, oh, so you're tech guys. And the second that you say, well, yes, ma'am, we are. Or, yes, sir, we are. And they say, we're not interested. Goodbye. What that basically says is we already gave tech a shot and it didn't work. So understand, we're not taking this personally. You shouldn't take this personally, but please don't waste our time and take us off your list. Like that hurt a lot. And I heard that over and over and over again. It drove me fucking nuts. What also seems to drive me nuts is that even though all the products are the same, the company culture, and I'll get into that very quickly. The company culture of every startup is essentially the same thing, remixed, and it's not even remixed anymore. Actually, it's basically the same thing over and over again. What they're trying to do, and I said this earlier in the video, they're trying to make it so it's all casual and stuff. It's not casual. And if it is casual, you know what I've noticed is that some of the people that are inside these companies, like, they try to make it look like they're they're super social, they're hyper social, they're constantly talking, they're talking to each other, they're giving each other props, they like each other. But let's be real, if you're inside the office that you're working in, I don't care what industry you are, if you're in tech, you know what I'm talking about. If you are in the music industry, you know what I'm talking about. I don't care what you are in because you're not going to be friends with your coworkers until an X amount of time. That's just how life works. We all know that it takes time to become friends with somebody. It takes time to get over their quirks that they have. It takes time for us to actually build a very solid impression of them because everybody's they're different. They have a different perspective than you do about life in general. So imagine you are going into a company and you are practically forced to have lunch with these people that you don't even know. You don't know who these people are. You don't care to know about who these people are because if you're in a sales department, then everybody's going to come and go. If they're going to come and go, what is the point of forcing us to talk to each other? I don't get it, but they make you do it anyway. They make you do that every time. So then you're going out to these forced lunches with these people and you start noticing a lot of the people that are talking to each other are like hyper talking in a way. Like they're talking about nonsense that even if it was an authentic conversation, you wouldn't be talking that rapidly or that much about a topic that's not even that interesting in the first place. Case in point, there's this company called You Earned It. And when they brought me out to lunch that day with these brand new coworkers, they called them colleagues. I call them coworkers because that's what they are. We were on our way to Chipotle, and God bless her heart, Miss Groff, Jessica Groff. I know you don't like me or anything like that. You thought I was interrupting the system that you believed in, but please understand something. Just because you bought me Chipotle with all these people that I don't know of, that doesn't mean that I'm going to suddenly become your best friend. Now, if it was just us two, and we were just discussing things authentically, down deeply about everything that I felt on my first day, then I sincerely believe that we were going to get along. Because during the interview, we actually had an authentic conversation, and I wanted that to persist. But during that time, when we were having a first luncheon with all the other coworkers, let's be very clear and honest. If you have a guy and he's talking about his dog and he's all like, yeah, but this dog, it's gotta dogs, they can't necessarily be all by themselves, and I gotta take care of it all the time. I gotta keep watch on it all the time because a dog isn't a dog. He just kept going with his dog, his pet dog. Who cares? Let's talk about how we're supposed to make our sales process. Let's talk about how we're going to be discussing to the HR managers, the HR directors of all of these other companies, and let's talk about how we're supposed to speak in their lingo and discuss the platform itself. Let's talk about the tool itself. Let's talk about the product, how we're going to pitch it over to these HR directors, what it does, how it does it. Why is it that when the one guy that is focused on doing that, his job, and doesn't care about his colleagues or whatnot, ends up getting fired on the second day? You guys, you put me through 4 different interviews straight back to back to back, and in 2 days, I'm gone. And it's because, you're not a cultural fit. No, what that translates into is, why is he acting weird? I'm acting weird because I've seen this before. I've seen this forced interaction before. I've seen this company culture before. It's nothing more than to mask the problems of what's going on inside the company. You guys are bleeding capital, venture capitalist money. You guys are bleeding money all over the place. You guys aren't coming up with a profit. The sales process that the VP of sales, Tara Bryant from WP Engine and BigCommerce and SolarWinds, she got fired from those places. I've looked at her LinkedIn profile. If you are a director of sales or a VP of sales, and you've only been in a company for a year, what this says is that you suck at your job, and you guys hired her. Why? She doesn't know what she's doing. And I come in and I actually know more about selling than she does. But I'm not given any equity share, am I? I'm not given $100,000. You go in and you hope for the best, and you try to hope for the best, and then it hits you in the face of what it really is. It's nothing more than another scam. It really is. I think the startup industry is a big scam, filled up by the very investment bankers that caused the housing market to crash. It caused the dot-com bubble to burst. If you guys haven't been paying attention, the recession is still here, guys. What we are doing as a nation is that we are artificially pumping money into the market. I think I seen a video once, it was a documentary. And I know that documentaries sometimes, they kind of skew the facts in their favor, but regardless of what you think about that alone, what I've noticed is that there was this thing that was said that essentially what the federal government is doing is that we are pumping $80 billion into the markets to get them stimulated back up again. And guess who takes the 80 billion? It's not the companies themselves, it's the investment bankers that get that. So these venture capitalist people essentially have free money from the taxpayers. Essentially, the 17 trillion, I think it was 17 trillion in debt that the United States is in right now. It's coming from the fact that the venture capitalists are just bleeding your money. They're taking all of your tax dollars and they're putting it into an industry that is not self-sufficient. Look at some of these companies. They're always bragging about, we got Series C funding of $20 million. We got Series B funding. We got Series A funding. I don't care where you got the funding from. If you got it from a venture capitalist, you are going to fail. Because now what you're doing is you're trying to rush along the process that takes decades to finalize. Microsoft didn't become Microsoft overnight. It didn't come off in 5 years or 10 years. It took about 37 years for Microsoft to become what it was. And it took Apple a long time to actually take off because Apple has been around. It's been around since the 80s. It wasn't until Steve Jobs came back with some ideas when he was homeless and he was starving and he was hungry and skinny like I am, that he decided, let's do something different. And we're gonna do something different, and it's actually gonna be something that's actually useful. And there came the invention of the smartphone. There came the invention of the smartphone. And it didn't happen overnight, but after the iPhone 3, iPhone 4 came out, and it was such a good improvement, especially the 4S. The 4S to date, for my eyes, and my eyes only, I think that has got to be the most important smartphone and invention out there. Because it was just a finalized product that does everything, and it does it well, it does it efficiently. And there has never been a phone like it where the whole, what it does, its functions and stuff like that, were just parallel. It was paramount. It does everything that you ask it to. Ever since that thing came around, and I've been keeping track with technology, I mean, you got tablets, and nobody uses those. Nobody uses a tablet. You got a MacBook, but it's just another laptop repackaged so you can do the same thing a laptop does. You're just doing it on Apple OS. See what I'm talking about? It's a rehash of ideas that were already there. There's only so many different kinds of ideas that you can make, and the ideas stick. But even arguably the ones that do stick, like Uber, for example, it's not new. Uber's just a taxi service. You're not in a taxi cab, but you are in a regular car, which functions like a taxi. But the only difference is that this regular car is available if you just click inside a button on your smartphone, your iPhone 5, your iPhone 6. It really makes me mad that deep down, what really makes me mad is that sometimes I feel like I'm just talking to air. I think I'm talking to air sometimes. I think that I get angry and nobody else seems to be getting angry because they don't see what I'm seeing. If this is a tech startup bubble, which it is. Look at every tech company right now. They are imploding. They're not making money. The venture capitalists are spending all this money trying to find a unicorn, another Facebook, another Google, another Apple, another whatever, another Uber. I don't care what it is. There are very few companies that are making money. And it sucks. It really sucks because what's going to happen in about 5 years, 3 years, 2 years, maybe even a few months, we're in another economic recession. I have tried every single company hoping that I can make it out and I can have a career started up, and I can't. I have nowhere to go anymore. I can't go over to my parents' house because they're all the way in Korea. So if I go back there, if you guys haven't been paying attention to some of the posts that I have on my Facebook, it's a really rough place to be in by itself because the culture is very stigmatizing for any outside foreigner. I look older now, obviously because of this, but even if you get over that, and I realize that most people think it's normal, and I agree with you, it's normal. You're talking about a country that's very superficial and they care a lot about plastic surgery and stuff, so I can't stay in there. I got an alcoholic for a dad. I'm about to turn into an alcoholic myself, and just last weekend I had a crisis of consciousness when I saw some girl, long story short, if you're watching this video, you know who you are. I'm really sorry. But long story short, what I'm trying to get at is that I'm really desperate for some alternatives that work, and I can't find them. I'm kind of scrambling for something, and I did it for about 8 months, just using the credit card, just trying to find something, a way to just keep on going. There's nothing there. The tech startup industry is it's failing. I can't go in as a police officer because of the military background and what it says and why I got kicked out. I can't go into trades because, the truth is, I actually tried to go into that. I tried to become an electrician, an HVAC guy, and I got rejected by the electrician academy. If you can call it an academy, it's not. But I got rejected from there, so I can't go in. HVAC guys are telling me some really bad stories. Plumbers are 50-50, and they admit that the only real reason why they're successful sometimes is because they're in the right company. And if you're not in the right company, you're right back into this cycle where you're unemployed every single year. You're employed for 6 months, and then you're not employed for 6 months. Mason workers are the same way. Welders are the same way. There's another group. Look, it's not. Anybody that's watching this video and you guys have a clear future and it's not going to be involved with those tech startups or trades or anything like that, you guys have made the right choice in my opinion. You guys are going to get on and you guys are going to have a very, very, very successful life. I had my shot and it got blown and I have no more options anymore. So don't take this like it was a suicide video. Don't take this like you guys should feel pity for me because that's not the point of the video. I just wanted you guys to watch what I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to do, and I want you guys to be aware of something. And if you even made it this far, then something resonated. Something resonated. I don't know what resonated, but something resonated. And let's hope maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just being cynical. Maybe I'm just being pessimistic about myself. But I don't think I have any other alternatives anymore, and I think it's time that I just accepted that there's no other path for me to walk on. I've wasted a lot of time trying to find something, scrambled everywhere. It's not there, and if you guys are, I don't know, if you guys want to go ahead and try to find me. Truth be told, I'm not even going to be in my apartment anymore because I can't afford it. So I'm going to be in Austin, somewhere. I'll be under. I don't even want to say where I'm going to be at because if one of you guys see me, I know you guys are going to have like the worst feeling ever. You guys are going to feel bad for me. But this is pretty much my last week inside this apartment. Wish me the best of luck. I'm wishing you guys the best of luck, and I hope you guys don't have to live through what I lived through. Good luck, guys.